Hi there. Are you interested in finding out all of the things that happened at the Ratliff Mandolins workshop this past week? If so, you're in the right place. My name is Audie Ratliff, and you are watching the Ratliff Mandolins weekly production diary. And seeing as how it's a diary, why don't we just start off with our first diary entry, and that would be Monday. And so my Monday started off with me taking some body tracings and some dimensions off of a 1944 double-aught 17 Martin guitar lent to me by my friend Steve Patton for the sole purpose of me getting these dimensions and everything just in case I might ever want to build a guitar this size, which I may very well do if I live long enough. And the next thing I tackled this Monday morning was a little bit of engraving practice on a couple of quarters. I've got a very expensive tailpiece to engrave for mandolin number 5 next week, and I thought maybe I should get some practice in. And speaking of mandolin number 5, I got the final coats of clear coat on mandolin number 5 this week, Monday morning in fact. Here's some shots of me getting the lacquer, the satin lacquer ready. I actually bought a brand new spray gun here about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to get used to it. And there's good old mandolin number 5, the leopard wood mandolin, getting its final coats tacked on, and there we are. It is done, hanging there in the drying box. And the rest of Monday was taken up with working on the back for the K5 guitar-shaped mando-cello. There's a shot or two of the kerfing being put in, and the sanding job on the inside of that. And so that's how I finished out my Monday before my students came, and we'll pick back up tomorrow on Tuesday. Tuesday starts with a repair that I worked on this past weekend from the great state of Georgia, and I decided that I would go. I've already got the repair done, so I'll just go ahead and box it up. Well, I still need to do the business end of the deal with the customer, but let's get the mandolin ready to ship back anyway. And that's how I started off Tuesday morning. And the rest of Tuesday was spent working on mandolin number 4. That's the little A-style mandolin that's eventually going to wind up over in North Carolina. It's got a K&K internal twin pickup, and right there you can see me taking out the things that go in the mandolin to keep the overspray from going everywhere. The little piece of paper that goes down in the F-holes, and the fretboard masking tape. We'll continue on. There's a couple of shots of me working on the frets and the fretboard. A little bit of lemon oil going down on that wingay. Beautiful wood. Starts to get pretty dark once you put the oil to it. Keys go in, of course. Tailpiece on, and there's a eagle engraved into that tailpiece, another practice tailpiece, and I'm just going to let it go because it was a pretty good job. And a nut, and you know what? That pretty much took up my Tuesday. Wednesday started out with another little video 30-minute practice session there for the engraving job that's coming up. And as I did not get number 4 finished yesterday, I started right back on it after my engraving practice session, got the strings put on it, and it is time to give it a try, see if it works. And it works pretty well if you ask me. So I'm going to put it in the box, set it off to the side until we can work on the business end of things with that customer. And move on for the rest of the day to the K4 mando-cello. Big old mando-cello shaped like a mandolin, and it's time to clean the inside of the back and carve it out the same as we did the K5. If you'll recall, this K4 is the one that has bird's eye maple all over neck, back, and sides. And we're just going to turn the sander loose, that big old wood hog, shape that rascal out. Then after the inside is cleaned out, then I'll set up stops there on the drill press and just drill down to the bottom of the stops, and that will give me a bunch of holes, and I can go to the bottom of those holes, and that's when we carve on the outside down to the bottom of the holes. Then we've got the back roughly shaped. And so ends Wednesday. Thursday starts, of course, with a good cup of coffee, and then we're going to go back and pick up where we left off with the K5 mando-cello back. If you'll recall, we have the K4 sanded out and cleaned up on the inside, and the back will be a drill just like this one is. So they're both. So once I get done with the drilling here, then both of them will be pretty much ready to carve the outside down to match the inside. Now, that was a lot of holes, wasn't it? And of course, as with every other job, clean up afterwards, and you still have a dirty shop no matter how much you clean. I keep a barrel there just for wood shavings only, and that goes into the mulch barrel out back. So now we're going to go back to the K4, put it on my special table for carving things, and we're going to work on carving the outside down, getting it at least rough shaped anyway. Quickly before we start working on the carving job, I thought that I would might ought to go ahead and get the back kerfing put on the K4, because the next thing will be to get the back basically ready to glue, and then we have to have the body ready to glue as well. I can put that stuff on pretty fast when I make my mind up to, can't I? And indeed, I have carved the outside of the back down, so while it is still rough, it is now at least ready to get ready to glue on. And that ends my Thursday's labors. Friday starts off pretty much where Thursday ended, with taking the clothespins and everything off of the back of the K4. And we're going to put it on the holder jig that I have to hold the things good and stable while the kerfing is sanded smooth in preparation for gluing the back on the body. So now we're going to sand all that kerfing down good and clean, and it is time to start on the final trimming up of the back before we glue it on. Right there's a shot of me sawing out the scroll button, and here in a second we're going to see me put that back right back on that same table. There's the scroll button sawed out, and we're going to give a nice rough carving to the scroll before we glue the back on. So I do have the back ready to glue on that K4 Mandocello, and the body is prepared and ready and waiting for its back as well. But I did not get that done this week because just as I was finishing up the preparations there, I got one of those honeydew calls. And for those of you who have a better half, then you know that when the honeydew calls come in, you better answer. And so gluing the back on the K4 Mandocello is something that we're going to have to save until next week. And hopefully you will check back in with us again next week as we do that job and many others here at the Ratliff Mandolins workshop on the next episode of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary. And I certainly hope to see you then. Come visit with us.